What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Mind of Marsal podcast. This is episode number 122. I am your host, Armando Marsal. You can find all of my work over at fantasyguru.com. Follow me under to the machine at Armando underscore Marsal, as well as on Instagram and threads at Mind of Marsal. And now on TikTok, it's at Mind of Marsal Pod. So make sure you're following that. Before I jump into it, I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you all. Remember, folks, if you're enjoying the content, enjoying the podcast, please make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever it is you are consuming it. Also, remember, you can now find the show on YouTube on the Mind of Marsal channel there. Make sure you're following that. Make sure you're a subscriber there. You'll see these videos and anything you have at mindofmarsal@gmail.com there. You email that. Any requests, anything you want me to talk about will be talked about here on the podcast. It is Friday, so you know what time it is. It is time that Chris Rose and myself break down the slate this week. Chris, how's it going, brother?
What's going on, man? Good morning. How's it going?
Going good, man. We are talking about you and I were talking a little bit about the weather. It looks like we're gonna have like a little tiny cold front or some type of front coming, and that's caused a shitload of rain these last couple of days. So I actually have my lamp on here right next to me because if not, you won't be able to see my face. There's no sunlight right now here in Miami, but all is good, man. All is good. To another week of football here. We had a cool game last night. I thought it was a fun game to watch. To be honest with you, I was surprised with the results of that Thursday night game, but yeah, man, another week of football. What were your takeaways from last night's game? Did you watch that game?
I think Jackson Dart is the real deal. So is Cam
Yeah.
Scadaboo. So, I mean, it's crazy that they're doing this without Malik Neighbors. But, man, either that or the Philadelphia Eagles are reeling right now. And they got a lot of injuries. Quinyon Mitchell went down with a hamstring issue yesterday. I know that Cooper DeJean was banged up. I know Blankenship was banged up. So, you know, they come into Minnesota next week, so I'm hoping that they stay banged up so we can put them on a three-game losing streak. But man, Jackson Dart is for real.
Yeah, man, Jackson Dart is for real. I just like I love the intensity he plays with. Obviously, look, I'll be honest with you. You can't be jumping head first into a defender. Like that's something that I'm pretty
I
sure
saw
I'm pretty
that.
sure that's what Brian Dable told him. Like, hey, listen, I love that energy, dude, but don't ever fucking do that again, dude. You're my franchise quarterback. I don't need you to like, go head first into defenders. Look, he made some really good throws yesterday, like something that he had done in the first couple of games, that he played. But I felt like yesterday he made some really, really good throws. There was that one that I believe it was Hyatt. There was the pass interference call that Hyatt just had one hand because the other hand was being held. Bro, that was perfectly placed. Like that was a perfectly placed ball. For me, he was my favorite quarterback of the draft class. It was not particularly close. And man, he's looking really good. He's looking really good. This was a tough defense. Yes, they have some injuries, but still a tough defense. This is a division game for them. And they came out and they really looked like the better team yesterday. Like that's just what it was. And I'm not saying they're the better team, but they did look like the better team. I think the future is bright here in New York. If we're being honest, I think that they found their franchise quarterback. It's now a matter of surrounding him with the right pieces and making sure this is a successful journey for his career. So I think it's now in the hands of the GM and company there for New York. But I do think that they hit on their quarterback. How about Scadaboo, dude? Like you love to see that, huh? Like, look, I don't know if he's gonna be able to do this for a long period of time with the way he plays football. And I think you mentioned that last week, if I'm not mistaken. But just while you're watching it, it's really fun to watch this guy and the energy he brings, man. And I think that that's something you don't see on the stat sheet. And you and I talked about that. But I know you like him. I know you're a fan. But what were your thoughts on him yesterday, man?
Yeah, I was hoping he got that 100 yards when he got stuck at 98, but damn, he is. I mean, he's a force. Again, we don't know how long he's going to be able to do this, like with the intensity that he does. Like he is just. It's scary every time he runs the ball, but I mean, he's that heartbeat right now, and it's crazy for a rookie being that young to go ahead and have that impact on an offense. Him and Jackson Dart together. I mean, it's pretty insane the impact that they're making on this team, and you could see it from Brian Dable too. How many times they went in the tent to go check on Jackson Dart? That's the stuff that you can't teach. That's the stuff that you have to bring emotionally as a team, as a leader on the team, and I think they're in a good spot for a long, long time with those two guys being leaders offensively.
Yeah, and you even see like Winston running down the sideline. Like you
Yeah.
see like the team, right? Like it's like an energy. Like that you don't really see in a lot of places. And right now they're believing they're two and what? They're 2-4, and they're playing. They look like a 4-2, 5-1 team, like with the way they're presenting themselves and the energy that they're bringing to the table. So, yeah, I like what I saw there yesterday, and I'll tell you this, man. I'm not worried as an Eagles fan, but there's something there. Like I think that there is something there not right, and I think it's in the locker room. I really do think it's in the locker room. You saw Devontae Smith yesterday in the sideline. He kind of did not look happy. We've seen this with AJ Brown where there's been situations where the question about him giving up on plays or not, like so I think there's something beneath the surface here. Like I don't think that you're seeing it all. I think there's something going on in this locker room that we're not hearing about, we're not seeing. But the energy in Philly right now, it's not great. And like you mentioned, next on deck is the Vikings. That's no easy task, right? Like that's no easy task. Like, this is a team that can easily go 0-3 in their last three games. And then I think there's going to be a lot of question marks surrounding what the next couple of weeks ahead are going to be for the Eagles, Chris. So I am looking forward to that. I want to see if it is a bounce back game or not for this Eagles, but it is going to be a good game though, nonetheless, between that Vikings and Eagles team there. Chris, this week we have a 10-game main slate like we did last week. Um, what are your overall thoughts? Like, so you and I are going to talk about the entire slate, guys. So for those of you who are listening for the first time, what Chris and I do is we're going to break down this slate. We usually give a little quick takeaways, quick thoughts on the Thursday night game. Then we're going to go position by position, find the matchups we're trying to target this week, find the players we like this week. And then at the end of that, we're going to give some bets. We're going to give our survivor pool picks. And then we're going to check on out of here. And like we always do, we start with our overall thoughts on this weekend's main slate on DFS. And Chris, what are your thoughts? We have a 10-game slate this week. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, this is a tough slate. There's a lot of running backs I like. They're just high priced. I'm gonna say this one time, probably the only time this whole entire season. This is a double tight end week for me. I can already tell you right now.
Oh,
You already know the two tight ends that I want to play.
oh, I'm pretty certain I know what the two tight ends you're going to play, but wow, I cannot believe I just heard that this is a two tight end week right off the bat. So this is what this show is going to be right here. Like this is one of those situations where we're coming out guns hot right away. There's not even like we're not easing into it. He's telling you right now, two tight end weekend. I have an idea of which these two tight ends could be. Um, but yeah, look, I think it is a challenging slate. Like for perspective, you don't have Jalen Hurts, you don't have Josh Allen, you don't have Jalen Daniels on slate. Usually the kind of quarterbacks that you look at. Lamar Jackson, I don't like he's not officially ruled out, dude. But come on, like I don't, he's not playing, right? Like you think he's playing? Because there's no way in
No,
my opinion he's playing, right?
no,
All right.
no.
So like now you're talking about your highest price guy is Baker Mayfield. So it is a challenging from a quarterback perspective because of you have decisions to make. And my quarterback pool is very small this week. I have a handful of guys in my quarterback pool, and then I have some question marks that if I want to look for value. Um, I think this is a pay up at running back spot this week. I think that this is a three running back week. If we're being honest, we've been doing this a lot, but I do think there's a three running back week. And I think the biggest question that we're going to have to ask ourselves as DFS players is, do we want to pay up or not for Nakul? I think that's going to be the most challenging decision that everyone faces this week. And I think you and I maybe give some clarity on that here. But I do agree with you. This is not the most enticing slate. It's not the most appealing slate. But I definitely think it's a slate we can take advantage of because I do think that there are some players going overlooked that we could, bank on this weekend. So I am looking forward to breaking it down with you. And as we do each and every week, we do position by position. And I just mentioned I have my quarterback pool very narrow. You do the quarterback coach article it on the site over at fantasyguru.com. And Chris, I read it and I see you have a very short quarterback pool this week as well, a very shallow one here. Um, Talk to me about where you're at. If you're paying up, who are you paying up for? Obviously, the most expensive guy right now is Baker Mayfield, assuming
Yeah.
that Jackson is officially out, and he's at 6,600. So, what are you doing at the quarterback position, Chris?
I mean, I mentioned I do like Baker Mayfield. It's just the price tag is just too high to kind of pair him up with Igbuka there, and the guy that's be the guy that I kind of pair him with. But I mean, what do you have? An 88% target 88% completion rate last week, going 29 to 33. This absolutely absurd for a quarterback. He's probably playing the quarterback position better than anybody in the NFL right now. He is, and that's without his top weapons too. Like Godwin hasn't done much. Evans is hurt. So I can make a case for Baker being my favorite quarterback, taking price aside. But for me, I'm probably going to end up paying down here. I like Dak against Carolina. He was a core play for me last week, absolutely smashed. But I'm probably going down to Drake May here against New Orleans. Just a really, really good spot. Drake May, 5,900. You can pair him up with Stephon Diggs. You can pair him up with Hunter Henry. There's a couple guys as far as price tags that kind of just makes sense. You know, he didn't really need to do a lot last week. Did complete 22 of 30 passes. Didn't really have to run much. But I think the rushing upside with New Orleans giving up nearly 30 rushing yards per game to the quarterback position is a great spot for him. And again, it's a small player pool. I think my GPP article is going to be the smallest that it's been all season. But I just love the spot for him. I know he's going to be popular, but I mean, this is like one of the ones where I'm just going to eat the chalk here. I think he gets the end zone both passing and rushing, so he's the guy for me this week.
Do you think he's going to be popular?
I think so. I think he's going to be the highest. I think he's going to be the highest on quarterback. I think him. There's a guy that's actually getting a lot of love, which I don't understand. I get the matchup, but it's Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is going to be in that 10 to 12%, and then you have. I think you see Drake May at 15. I think it'll be spread out in the teens. Drake May at 15 at the highest, and you got Stafford, Prescott, and Bryce Young kind of spread out across.
That's interesting because I have May at 8% right now in the
It's
projections.
even better.
I listen. Okay. So I'm going to say here and say right here, Drake May is this year for me is this year's Trevor Lawrence. Where last year when we were on him, like he hit like the only thing is he's been doing it on a more consistent basis. Drake May has been very consistent, and he like you mentioned, he didn't have to do a lot last week against the Buffalo Bills. Still look good, still very efficient, still very productive. From an NFL standpoint, obviously for fantasy purposes, didn't do all that much, but this is a great matchup for him. The Saints giving up a 70% completion rate here, and they've given up 11 passing touchdowns to the opposing quarterback, right? I think Drake May is in a smash spot. This guy's playing great football. He has that rushing element that, not all the quarterbacks on this slate possess. And he remains, in my opinion, underpriced. We talk about this every week, and I say this every single week. If he's below 6K, I'm going to continue to gravitate towards that kind of quarterback. He is just someone that gives you a really good floor, and I think he has a very nice ceiling as well here. At 5,900 for me, if those projections are correct and he's sub 10%, I think he's one of the best, if not the best quarterback play on the entire slate. Like that's where I'm at with Drake May. I love him regardless of whether he's going to be chalk or not. So I'm going to be in on him this weekend. My favorite overall quarterback is Drake May. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, dude, this is, he checks off all of the boxes for me this week. I'm with you on Baker Mayfield, by the way. Like I said this on the last episode when I was talking to Tyler Beaker, and I don't think there's anyone playing with as much confidence at the quarterback position as Baker Mayfield right now in the NFL. Like he's playing with like I mean, that confidence is through the roof. You saw it, like he was talking shit with a fan in Seattle
That
right
was
before the
awesome.
game. Wasn't that epic? Like I like
Oh,
that kind of stuff. There's like, yes, bro, like you're talking shit, and then at the end of the game, you come back and you like rub it in the fucking face after you put it on the team, dude. I like that kind of shit, dude. I'll be honest with you. Baker Mayfield's playing lights out football right now. And it's a good matchup. San Francisco's defense, we've talked about this, is not one you shy away from, right? So I do like the matchup, but I do think it's going to be a back and forth game there. I really do. I like your call with Dak Prescott as well. I'm in on that. I think I'm checking. He's checking off like at 11%, 12% ownership, which is kind of where you expect a lot of these quarterbacks to be this week. I don't think there's going to be like a 30 or 25% owned guy. So I'm good with that. He's just playing great football, right? Like Dak Prescott is truly carrying this offense and just doing great. They have that rushing attack too with Javonte Williams. Like they're playing good football this offense. So their defense is not good, but that's fine. Like that's even better for the offense and for fantasy purposes. I wanted to pick your brain on one quarterback that's popping for me significantly, and it's Justin Herbert. I like behind Drake May, Justin Herbert is my number two guy. I absolutely love this spot for him. Miami's defense has been trash all season. We've been targeting them. They're not good. They just their secondary struggles a lot. You now lose Omari and Hampton if you're the Chargers. This was already a team that was passing the ball more than we thought they were going to pass the ball this season. So you lose that. You obviously don't have Najee Harris. Your backfield consists of Hassan Haskins and Kimani Vidal. I think they're going to give the football and let their best player win this football game. That's Justin Herbert. Like at 6,300, especially after last week's game, like I think they got to come out and they got to win this game. And I think they got to come out and make a point and make a statement here. And if I'm the Chargers, who else to give this opportunity to than to Justin Herbert? I think he's going to throw a ton here. I think he's going to carve up this secondary. And he is great. Like he is showing to be one of the more popular. I actually have him at 14% right now as far as ownership is concerned, which is my kind of my only thing. But he checks off pretty much every box for me this weekend, and he's affordable at his price tag. Any thoughts on Justin Herbert here this week?
Yeah, I mean, you hit all the points. Definitely, I mentioned that in my article. Is you got to think about the run game now. You lost Najee, you lost Amari at Hampton. It's got to be you got to think about like utilizing now Lad McConkey kind of in that run game in that short to intermediate, setting up like third and second and short. So I think a guy that you're not going to really, that wasn't really talked about a lot this year is Lad McConkey. You'll see him, and a lot of times with offenses that have guys like a Hunter Renfrow back when he was with the Raiders, Lad McConkey, who can set up that short yardage when your run game is either stalled or just can't get anything done, or you're just with limited pieces. I think you'll see McConkey having, 10, 12 targets this week, and then Vidal being that pass catching back, and really Hassan Haskins kind of being that three down back. So I don't trust the run game. I think it's going to be more so, as you mentioned, on Justin Herbert to kind of lead this team, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think so too, dude. I look, Miami is 31st in pass DVOA. I I think Justin Herbert is going to carve them up. And like you mentioned it, like there are so many different ways you can do it, right? Like you have three reliable receivers here. You got a solid young tight end. Like I think there's multiple ways. I like Herbert. My thing is who you pair him up with. Like that's where I'm kind of struggling because I do think you could do it multiple ways here. And you have to get that one right. I do think you have to get that right because it's usually like one of his receivers usually pops off. Not generally it's two. But we'll get that at the receiver. We'll get to that at the receiver position, Chris. What are your thoughts on Mac Jones if he starts and Brock Purdy is out? Because I do think it's an interesting matchup. Tampa Bay is dealing with some injuries there. You have to keep an eye on who's inactive and active for that game. But they are dealing with some injuries defensively. That's why we saw Sam Darnold have the game he had there. Would you be at all interested in someone like a Mac Jones if Brock Purdy's out and he's active?
I think it depends on really who is in at wide receiver for me. If he's down to like Kendrick Bourne, I probably won't get there just because we kind of know who the passing yards are going to get, all the pass plays are going to get filtered down to. But I mean, it's a good matchup. Tampa Bay giving up 240 passing yards, almost 242 passing touchdowns per game, almost 22 fantasy points per game. I mean, he looked good in week 5 against a tough Rams defense where went out and won the game through 342, did throw the ball 49 times. So I do think it's a good spot at a decent price tag. I don't think Ricky Pearsall is going to play. I know he was doing some stuff on the side. I don't think he plays, which is unfortunate. Not expected to play in week 6. So he's pretty much already ruled out. So you're looking at Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings. I think Jennings is still not practicing, so tough for me to get there. If I'm going to play anybody, it's going to be who I know is going to get the ball. It's Christian McCaffrey in that offense.
His usage is stupid. Like it's stupid.
Ridiculous, man.
Like he has like 30 plus opportunities in 3 games this season. That's insane. It's wow. I'm gonna point one guy out. I'm not gonna be on him simply because I think they're gonna lean on the run in this game more than anything else, and I don't think the game script is going to entail for him to have to throw a lot. But Jordan Love is in a phenomenal spot against the Bengals, right? Like we can't like overlook that. I'm just not going to get there myself this week, Chris, because I think there's other quarterbacks in more competitive game situations who are going to have to throw maybe a little bit more. And can Jordan Love throw 4 touchdowns and only attempt 24 passes? Sure, but I don't want to rely on that kind of performance for me to, bank on him. Any thoughts on him? Because I do think it's a great matchup.
Probably not going to get there, but it is a decent matchup.
And then you said Stafford, right? You mentioned Stafford in your
Yeah,
original.
yeah,
Like for
yeah. I like
me,
Stafford. He's just too expensive.
I think
He's not expensive. It's more so Puka. Sorry.
well, no, well, I'm gonna let you know who I think we should be pairing him up with this week. I'm taking the $2,000 discount, baby. I am taking the $2,000 discount.
Dante.
Yeah. Um, I think Stafford's very, very much in play this week. I mean, it's tough to ignore how bad this Ravens defense has been. Like, it is one of those situations where they're not good right now. Like they're just bombarded with injuries. There's not much they could do. It's not a lack of that they just suck or anything. It's just dude, they're giving up 270.2 passing yards per game, 69% completion rate, 13 passing touchdowns. This is a great spot for Matthew Stafford. It's just a matter of do you want to pay up for him or do you want to pay up for Mayfield or Herbert or take the discount on man? That's kind of the big decision at the quarterback that you have. Like those are kind of the four guys that I am truly stuck in between this weekend. And I'm leaning more towards May. Anything else at the quarterback position? You mentioned
No,
Bryce Young. I agree with you. Like he grades out well. I mean, I'm not going to talk anyone off of him. I am not going there,
yeah,
like personally. But I get it. Anything else here, Chris?
no.
Running back. I said it's a pay up week, and you have two juggernauts right at the top here. Jonathan Taylor, 8,500. I said this, I think, like 3 weeks ago. There's only a matter of time before you see him upwards of 8K. It's happening. He's just too good. He's an elite player, an elite running back. Even at 8,500 against Arizona, I'm perfectly fine with playing him. Christian McCaffrey, 8,400. I'm in too, dude. Like, I'm in on both of these guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit both of them in my lineup. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play both of them, but I am in on both of them. I like them both. I like the matchups here for each of them. You look at McCaffrey, dude, and Tampa Bay is good against the run, but they tend to give up passing production to the running backs. And McCaffrey is highly involved in the passing game. We've talked about it. You mentioned it, and I've mentioned it. Over 30 opportunities 3 times this season. You look at the targets, right? 9, 11, 15, 7, 10. That's insane for a running back. That's insane. That's like not even some receivers are getting this kind of work in the passing game. For me, Christian McCaffrey, dude, so long as he's sub 9K, and I know that sounds crazy, but so long as he's sub 9K, I'm in. Like that's what it is with Christian McCaffrey, Chris. Where are you at with these two guys? Because they're the only ones upwards of 8K.
I almost want to lock him in, man. It's just I just love Christian McCaffrey this week. Again, it's kind of like that chalky. Honestly, man, I see him at 6%. I don't know how insane that is. What's your ownership on him?
So I have McCaffrey at, let me pull this up here, and I'll tell you right now. I have McCaffrey at, no, I have him at 17%.
All right, I have. All right, so if he falls in between 6 to 17%, I think you just lock him in. I mean, he should be a 30% play. I have Jonathan Taylor at 30%, but I think he's in a smash spot as well. Like I said, there's a lot of running backs I like, and they're all high price, which is why I want to go 2 tight ends because I could save some salary that way and still get the upside. For me, there's 4 guys that I'm contemplating on kind of mixing and matching. 2 at the top with Taylor and McCaffrey, 2 guys in the mid price, one being Ashton Genty against Tennessee, who ranked 31st in the league against the run. And the fourth guy is a guy that I haven't played, a guy that has burned us in the past several times last year, is Javonte Williams at 6,400. I mean, he has earned every right for us to roster him with the efficiency what he's done. I mean, 89.4 rushing yards per game, 6 touchdowns, averaging almost 16 rushes, involved in the passing game, seeing 4 targets and very efficient on that end, and is also averaging 22 fantasy points per game. Those are the 4 guys that I'm prioritizing in my lineups this week. And I'm going to try to stay away from all the noise from the other guys that, the Rashad Whites or the Rico Dowdos or the narratives that way. and focus on those four that I have the most trust in. I've gone away from that the last 2 weeks and it's burned me. I think I have to really stick with it this week.
I like that philosophy. I'm having trouble. So I'm having trouble with the same thing as you are, right? That's why I said I'm paying up at the running back position this week because I feel like you should pay up. Like I feel like I like a lot of these guys. Like you mentioned Christian McCaffrey, right? We've talked about him, his usage, the matchup. Jonathan Taylor, just the usage is insane. The offensive line is really good. He's essentially matchup proof. Another guy that grades out really well for me, and I'm having trouble ignoring this week, Chris, is Josh Jacobs. Like this is why Jordan Love, and I said it like I don't think they're gonna have to pass. They could run wild against the Bengals. Look, the Bengals. They've given up the third most rushing yards to opposing running backs. They're giving up 4.5 yards per carry. They've given up four rushing touchdowns. They're giving up over 29 fantasy points per game on both FanDuel and DraftKings. If you're a season-long player, they're giving up over 25 fantasy points per game to the running back position. Coming off a bye, well rested. I mean, Josh Jacobs is someone that I think can smash and break this slate. And I, I don't know how popular he's going to be. Where do you have him as ownership? Because I have McCaffrey, I have Doddle's up there. If Hubbard misses, is going to be up there in ownership. I have Taylor that you mentioned looks like chocolate. Where do you have Jacobs? Because I don't see him. And for me, Jacobs checks off most, if not every single box on the, when you're taking a running back into consideration. So, what do you have as ownership? Out of curiosity.
I'm at 7.
Dude, if you give me a 7% own Josh Jacobs against the Cincinnati Bengals at home as a what, 14 and a half point favorite, if I'm not mistaken, against a defense that's giving up 122.6 rushing yards per game, 4 yards or 4.5 yards per carry. Keep in mind, this is another defense that has given up four receiving touchdowns to the position, 225 receiving yards and 23 receptions. Jacobs is very much involved in the passing game. Like, I'm in, dude. Like it's very difficult not to be in on Jacobs at that point, and I'm not ready to make him a core play yet because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get Taylor and or McCaffrey as well. But he is my pivot if I cannot fit in both because he's at least $1,000 cheaper than both of them. But man, I think this is a slam dunk matchup for him. I'm going to echo what you said about Ashton Genty too. I think Genty's in a great spot. We were in on him a couple of weeks ago. He went bananas. Last week we liked it, but we weren't really like super in on him. Usage is there. He finds himself in a like slam dunk matchup once again. He has what, the Titans this week. They're giving up 122.6 rushing yards per game as well. 5.2 yards per carry, a league high 8 rushing touchdowns to the running back position, over 28 fantasy points per game on both FanDuel and DraftKings, over 25 fantasy points per game in season long scoring formats, standard scoring formats. This is a really good matchup for Genty. This is a get right spot for the Raiders who were embarrassed last week. And I think they're going to have to lean on this young man here. Absolutely love him. Absolutely love the price tag, Chris. I could not agree with you more. Like 6,900. I think you can make a strong case for Genty being in that upwards of 7K. The opportunities are there. He had 21 opportunities last week, 23 the week before that, 17. Like they're there. The opportunities are there. I know the production hasn't been at high end. He had a pretty decent outing last game. I'm in on him this week as well. I love everything about the matchup and the usage here for Genty, and I think this is a really good spot for him there. What are your thoughts on HN? Because I look at HN as a floor play with a pretty significant ceiling. I'm just not getting there this week. I don't love the price tag. I don't necessarily love the matchup here, but he's never someone that I'm going to, say he's not in play at all because I do think his role in the passing game is so big that he gives you that pretty safe floor. But I like all the other options more than I do him.
Yeah, I probably won't get there because you made a good mention on Josh Jacobs having a little bit more involvement, better matchup. I don't love the matchup against the Chargers. I know the passing game will be involved. He's at sub 5% own play. Probably won't get there. But I mean, I won't. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go over 20 fantasy points.
And you mentioned Javonte Williams. I'll say this. Um, and I mentioned this last podcast. Like he's someone that I've always been on and I've always liked. And the one year that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cool off on him. I'm cool that he's going bananas. Um, but this is a really good matchup. Carolina's run defense is really suspect, really vulnerable. Um, for me, Javonte Williams is just going to run wild on them. I think this is a game where they could play with a lead here. They're going to lean on him, and he just looked good. So I'm in on him as well here, Chris. All right, when you look at, so these are all running backs at 65 or 64 and up. When you look down, there's one guy that's right under Javonte Williams that I think has tournament appeal, and that's Kyron Williams. I
Yep.
think he's going to be a leverage play because I do expect the passing attack for Baltimore to be very popular this week. I think a lot of people are going to try to fit in Nakua. Um, I like Adams a shitload. We talked about Stafford. He looks at like that 10 to 11% ownership as far as quarterbacks are concerned. Um, any thoughts on Kyron? I know he's been underwhelming. I know he had that costly fumble last game, which completely crushed a ton of survivor pools. But the usage has been there, man. And this Baltimore Ravens, like I mentioned, the defense, they just not good. Any interest in Williams and GPP?
I get it. I just know with all the injuries that the Ravens have in their secondary, I want to attack the secondary with the passing game. That's why I was so high on Stafford and Puka. So I get the play. I'm just probably not going to get there just based on really attacking the secondary more than anything.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get there, but I do think he makes for a strong tournament play. Um, if you could get there. The problem is just Genty, Jacobs, and then the other two guys. Like for me, that's where it's at for me this weekend, man. Um, let's look a little lower. Rashad White, I'm seeing about 15 to 16% ownership there. I would expect to be a little bit more, if we're being honest here. I get it. I'm not going there myself, but I get it. But any thoughts on him?
No.
All right. How about Rico Dotto? If we don't have official news, let me see on Hubbard yet, do we? All right. Assuming Hubbard is out, right? What do you do with Rico Dotto after last week?
So this is where I'm kind of. I like the. It's a good play. I just don't think you're going to find lightning in a bottle again here. This is not. I mean, there's some revenge narrative with Dowdle rushing for over 1,000 yards for the Cowboys last year. I think they're going to key on the run game here and make Bryce Young beat them with his arm. I just don't think you're going to find lightning in the bottle again.
I will tell you this. Two things. So number one, in cash games, I think you play him because he's going to be uber chalk, and you just
Yep.
roll with the punches. This is assuming Hubbard is out, so he didn't participate in Thursday's practice, team drills or whatnot. Monitor that. In tournaments, I'm okay going in a different direction for what you said. Number one, I do think Dallas will definitely key in on him. Whether they're going to find success doing so or not, I'm not sure. I tell you this, they haven't done well against the run this season. When you look at the numbers, they're just not a good run defense, giving up 4.4 yards per carry, 91 yards per game. But I also think that this is my thing. I don't think that this game is going to be as competitive as it was last week against Miami, right? Like I feel like this is a game where the Dallas can actually go in there and put up points against his defense. Maybe I'm seeing this wrong. Vegas clearly thinks I'm wrong here because this game has a 3 point spread, so they're thinking it's going to be very competitive. I think that the Cowboys offense could put up points here in a hurry. So for me, I think that that's the thing. Now, I'm not saying you're not playing Rico Dowdle. I'm not saying he's not a good play. I giving you reasons as to fade him in tournaments because he's going to be uber chalk. I'm about 30% ownership right now. I would expect him to be in that 40% range once we get official Hubbard news here. Right? I really do think that. So that would be my thing. He's a good play in cash. I would probably go in a different direction in tournaments, and that's how I would get my leverage. At the end of the day, remember, even if he goes off, and you have another running back that goes off, you can offset that, right? And that's why I think like someone like Jacobs at less ownership has a much higher ceiling, in my opinion, than Rico Dotto. Like that. So that's how I'm viewing it. Yes, you're getting a $1,500 difference, but we're gonna find other positions to kind of get that that salary. You mentioned going two tight ends. That's a way you could do it. So just kind of for perspective there, Chris, I did want to say that. Anyone else here down here, like in the lower, Travis Etienne, Judkins, like these are all volume guys. Like any of these guys pique your interest?
No, not much.
Yeah, look, if I'm going low, like I'm going for volume. Judkins has seen a ton of volume. Don't love the matchup there against Pittsburgh. Travis Etienne, he's a volume guy. Not enamored with the matchup here, like myself. So like, I'm not going there. But this is where I would be. Like, if this is where I'm looking for a discount at the running back position, this is where I'll be. I'm gonna name one, and he's gonna be more in the betting section. But I'll tell you this for me, and I said this already before. I think I said this in week 4 when they played Carolina. He didn't produce high end numbers, but he still gave us 12.6 fantasy points. Travion Henderson, 5,200 against the New Orleans Saints here. I'm expecting his role to increase a little bit now with Antonio Gibson out for the season. All we need is one fumble from Stevenson, who's done it 3 times in the last 3 games. All we need is one fumble for like Henderson to completely overtake this backfield against the Saints, and that would be enormous here. I'm only going to do this in GPPs, large field GPPs. Like, I do think that he's very appealing, like GPP. In fact, he's my favorite like GPP flyer because I don't think many people are going to be on him. My prop bet is going to be on Henderson when we get later to the show. It's going to be on him. But for me, man, I think he's a very strong GPP play. No one's going to be on him. I think this is a great spot. The matchup is good. I think his role is going to increase, and I'd rather be ahead, right, than like kind of play that catch up next week if he does go off where everyone's going to be on him. So if you're playing multiple lineups and you're looking for a contrarian GPP option, Trevion Henderson to me, someone that's very appealing. Chris, any quick thoughts on him or?
Yeah, I definitely think with Gibson out, I mentioned this with Drake May, with Gibson being out, not a ton of trust in the run game. We haven't seen much from Travion Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson, he can't even hold on to the football. Yeah, I think Travion Henderson could have a monster breakout game this week.
And then I'm gonna say two things before we move on to the wide receiver position. Number one, I'm not chasing Michael Carter's performance from last week. This is a far tougher matchup against the Colts. Number two, as much as I want to target Miami's run defense, I don't know how the hell to do it. I prefer Vidal if I'm choosing between Vidal and Haskins, but I am not confident and I'm not planting my flag on neither of these two running backs. Do you have any thoughts on these situations?
Vidal is definitely going to be the pass catching back. I don't trust either of them to be honest. Just like you said, I just don't trust them to actually do enough in fantasy.
And then Carter, you're not going back, right? You're not chasing that.
I'm going to play him in my season long, but I'm not going to play him in DFS.
Well, yeah, it's season long 100%. Like, he's your RB2/flex option for a lot of these teams. So many running back issues and injuries and shit like that. So 100%. But in DFS, I am out. And if in season long, if I'm choosing between Haskins and Vidal, it's going to be Vidal. Like, that's who I'm
Yeah,
going with.
same,
All right.
same.
All right. Wide receiver position. We said the toughest decision that a lot of people are going to be faced with this week is whether or not they go with Nakua at 8,700. Are you paying up for Nakua or not, Chris?
Probably not.
It's tough,
I
right?
want,
Because
I want to. I just can't get to him.
I want to as well. I can't do it. Look, it's going to be, if you don't do it, you're going to be sweating the entire game. All right, because Baltimore's secondary is just in shambles. This defense is in shambles. Um, and when you look at Nakua, dude, like, I mean, he gives you just as much of a floor as anyone else, if not higher than most people. Over 25, or I'm sorry, over 24 fantasy points in on DK, right? In each and every game this year. That's insane, ludicrous to me. Like, I can't get better than that. Um, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get to him. I think if you can get to him without having to punt too much, because sometimes we see people fit these guys in, but then you're punting at tight end, you're punting at another receiver position, you're punting at quarterback. Like, this would be like you have, Taylor, McCaffrey, and you have Nakua, you have Jacobs, but then you're starting Bryce Young at quarterback, and you're starting, we'll talk about some cheap receivers soon, but like Ayo Maynor, Sterling Shepard, like you're that. Like, I don't like those stars and scrubs built as much. So I like going a little bit more balanced. But if you can make the cool work without punting too much, I definitely recommend it here. So if you're not going to cool, who are you paying up for, Chris?
So I'm probably not even going to pay up at the wide receiver position this week. I think I'm going to end up using a lot of my salary on paying up at running back. I think I think the kind of the highest where I'm going right now is in that 5 to 6K range. I do think McConkey, as I mentioned, is an interesting play. As I mentioned, I do think he's going to be setting up the run a lot more. I think you're going to see a lot of him like heavy and often. But for me, I'm trying to find some cheap plays in that 5 to 6K range. You know, Stephon Diggs. I think he's interesting. I think Ted McMillan because I do think that Bryce Young's going to have to throw a lot, and the guy that I like the most is probably Jalen Waddle at 6,100.
I think that there's a lot of good pockets this week, right, at the receiver
Yeah,
position. And I think that's what makes the position so challenging because I think from 7 to that 87K or 8,700 range, there's a lot of options. So at 7,200, Buka against San Francisco to me is in a smash spot. Like
yeah.
this is a smash spot. Mike Evans is out, right? Chris Godwin is doubtful. He hasn't been officially ruled out, but they're saying they don't expect him to play. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities there for Buka. A good matchup there. We saw what he's capable of doing. This young man is showing why he's was one of the best or considered one of the best receivers in this draft class. So I'm in on him. I'm surprised you didn't mention your boy JSN, dude. You've been riding him all season long, and like get coming off a massive performance there, and surprised you're not going back there. So those would be the two guys I pay up for if I'm paying up at the position. All right. I'm not, don't know if I can. Like you, I don't know if I can, but those would be the two guys I would pay up for. Buka against 49ers, really good matchup there. We're going to see the usage. We're going to see the volume through the air. They're again going to be without, their guys on offense, so they're probably going to have to lean on him here. So I like this matchup a lot against the 49ers. And then the same with it within Jigba. Like he's just another one that's quietly producing a crazy, insane floor. And we saw his 30-point upside last week. Like that's what he has. He's playing lights out. Like he's one of the best receivers in football right now. Like that's what he's playing like. So he's always going to be in play for me. But I'm with you, man. Like I'm in that kind of that 55, 54 to 67 range. Like that's where I've been, hovering. I mentioned Devontae Adams. I feel like he's the one that I'm going to be rostering this week. Instead of Nakua. Baltimore really struggling here. We mentioned Baltimore how much their defense is struggling, and when you start looking at the actual numbers, this is I mean it doesn't get much better than this, right? You're talking about Ravens are giving up 159 receiving yards per game, a 65% catch rate, 10 receiving touchdowns, which is tied for most in the NFL right now. They're giving up over 35 fantasy points on FanDuel, on DraftKings, just a great spot here for these receivers. So I'm in on Adams a lot, man. And if you start looking even deeper, dude, like you look at where they're at here in DVOA, and it's just a very good spot here for them. So I'm in on them. I'm in on this group. Adams too, the volume. You look at the volume, 11, 6, 8, 13, 8. These are targets. He's very involved. He has 3 touchdowns on the season. Just I think he checks off all of the boxes at 6,700. It's a great way to get exposure. What do you have his ownership at, Chris?
I have him at 3%.
I mean, guys, I'm giving you a Josh Jacobs sub 10%. I'm giving you Devontae Adams sub 5%. What are we doing? Just start there. That's it. Build around
Yep.
that. Everything else is gravy. I love your Jalen Waddle call, right? Like we talked about this last week on Sunday, and I vividly remember asking you, are we overlooking Waddle this week at his price tag 5,400? And we both agreed that people were overlooking him. He had 6 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets. He's going to be their guy moving forward, dude. Like he is going to be their guy moving forward here. And he's 6,100. I think it's only a matter of time before he starts hovering in that 68, 69, maybe that 7K range. So I like the idea of kind of taking the price advantage right now at sub 6,500. So I'm in on him. One guy that this is why I'm not going to play Rico Dowdle. This is why I'm not going to just play. I'm not playing Bryce Young, but there is one guy here I'm playing in Carolina. And now I'm on the McMillan train, and I'm not getting off this motherfucker until he goes off. Like that's it. Like, and this is the week he does it. Dallas struggles a ton through the air. Like they struggle a ton through the air. I absolutely love this spot for him. I'm gonna read you some numbers here. All right, as far as the Dallas Cowboys defense is concerned. And you tell me if you're in on McMillan or not. All right, so here we go. Here are the numbers, Chris. All right, the Dallas Cowboys, most receiving yards allowed, 14.1% yard, or I'm sorry, 14.1 yards per reception, a 74% catch rate. That's a league high right there. 10 receiving touchdowns, 38.6 fantasy points per game, 47.1 fantasy points per game on another site. Tech McMillan, 6K. He's had at least 8 targets in every game. Hasn't had that breakout game yet. Guess what? This is the week that Tech McMillan breaks out. We thought it might have been last week. I know you mentioned it might have been last week. No, it wasn't last week. This is the week that Tech McMillan breaks out. And I'm looking at ownership. It doesn't look like he's going to be that crazy popular. Tech McMillan is my favorite at point per dollar. When we're looking at point per dollar, my favorite receiving play on this slate. Chris, any thoughts on McMillan?
Yeah, I said last week was going to be his breakout week, and he still got 8 targets. Didn't really break out, but I'm with you, man. I hope the breakout is there. He's been good. I just Bryce Young has been that he's been the problem, and if they can feed him 10 plus times, I do think this is a game where he can go off. Price tag is getting up there a little bit. I think what is he at over 6K now or at 6K? So, man, it's got to come soon, right?
I listen. I look. The Cowboys are 31st in DVOA against opposing wide receiver ones. They've allowed, like I mentioned, they've allowed the most receiving yards. They're tied for most receiving touchdowns. They're giving up the highest percent catch rate, over 37 fantasy points per game on all sites. I mean, this has to be the week for McMillan. I'm in. I'm in. He's going to be a core play for me this weekend. I absolutely love this spot for him, and just love it in general. And I think if you're playing Dallas in any capacity, right? If you're playing Javonte, he's a great bring back. So
Mm-hmm.
whoever you're playing in Dallas, he's a great bring back there. And as far as that's as far as like where I'm at with these, 6K and above. When you're looking at sub 6K, are you in on Jacoby Myers again? I know you were in on him a little bit last week. Are you going back to the wall here?
Unfortunately, I have to go away from my guy. He's priced up. He's been 3 duds in a row. You give me 3 duds in a row and pretty good matchups, you're in the shit box for now.
Yeah, yeah, and then okay, how are we going to treat this Chargers group? Are you going to go McConkey? So it is worth noting Johnston is dealing with a hamstring injury, right? He's kind of like limited and stuff. Obviously, that's important news. If he's out, this makes this decision easier. But where are you at with this group? Are you McConkey, Johnston, Allen, 2 of these? Where are you at?
Yeah, if Johnston's out, I think McConkey almost becomes a must play for me, to be honest with you. Um, I just think it's a really good spot for him. I know Keenan Allen's going to get a lot of popularity. Um, so here's what I would do. I would play McConkey in cash, Keenan Allen in GPPs, or maybe
I
I said
like
that
it.
the wrong one.
I,
I
I
would
would put.
Keenan
I would.
Allen in
Yeah,
cash, Lad in GPPs.
correct.
Um,
Yeah.
That's how I would play it. I think Keenan is the safer floor. I think he has that 12, 14-point floor in a pretty good matchup. And I think Ladd is the guy with the major upside, especially with the target share with if Quentin Johnson is out. Now I still like McConkey here, even if Johnson is in. I just as an offensive mind, and you don't have your running backs, for me, I would just set up just short routes where I can maximize McConkey against safeties or outside linebackers just to set up like second down and manageable, third down and manageable. I think that's the way they got to go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I like both of these guys. I think you said it best. Cash, Allen, GPP, McConkey, kind of how I would approach it. Like them both, especially if Johnston is out. This is why this is such a fruitful area. Like you have both of them. I'm in on Stephon Diggs, dude. Over 40% target share in each of the last 2 games. Now, am I expecting 40% target share again this week? No, but am I expecting upwards of 25? Sure. Over 100 receiving yards. Another decent matchup here against the Saints. If you're playing Drake May, perfect stacking option. Like,
Makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm in on Stephon Diggs here at this price range. I'm also in on Michael Pittman, man. And I say this every week. I sound redundant. By now, just you should just cue this, on your replay. Armando's in on Michael Pittman until otherwise, right? Like until further notice, I'm in on Michael Pittman. I like the matchup here. He is someone that just continues to be steady. The price doesn't move. The price doesn't do anything. How many touchdowns does he have this year? I think he has what? Four touch, yeah. So he has a touchdown in all but one game, five catches in all but one game, six targets in all but one game. Like Michael Pittman is highly involved here, and I'm in. I'm in on him each and every week here. So that's where I'm at here with these receivers. Anyone else here in this lower end that you're looking at?
So you mentioned one of the guys that I do like as far as Stephon Diggs. He's had his best games against New Orleans, so there's a bit of a narrative there. I've said this with Justin Fensterman a couple days ago. Minneapolis Miracle. We'll just leave it at that. So back in New Orleans, yeah, as a Patriot, but I do think this is a really good spot for him. And then a guy that you keep like playing every week. It's Michael Pittman, four touchdowns in the first 5 weeks, scored every week except for week two. I think he's another cash game safe floor for 15 fantasy points.
I mean, that's what you're getting with him, right? Like you're getting yourself a safe floor, and if he gives you a ceiling game, or if he gives you a very high end production game, like you're winning. It's plus EV for you, right? So, um, yeah, man, I'm in on him. I'm in on him. I do want to mention you have to keep a very close eye on the 49ers receiver situation because if Jennings and Pierce are unable to give it a go, it's tough to overlook Kendrick Bourne. Like, right at 5K, like he's going to get the opportunities. He had 11 targets last game. So for me, someone that you can consider at 5K, Chris, um, if Jennings and Pierce are out. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like as you mentioned, I don't think Ricky Pearsall plays. I don't think Jennings plays. So yeah, I think he becomes an interesting play, especially coming off an 11 target game. I think his connection with Mac Jones is there. So I think he ends up being wide receiver one. And we played Ricky Pearsall in what week one and week two as wide receiver one. I don't see why you don't.
Yeah. Um, any other cheap receivers? I got a couple of GPP dart throws here, but not any that I'm overly confident in. But do you have any cheap value guys?
I really don't. This is the problem that I'm having this week. I have one. I have made one, maybe two. One being Rashid Shaheed at 4,600. Just that take the top off the defense type. We mentioned one of these guys, Tyler Beaker, and I on Friday. One of these Saints receivers would take the top off, and it was that long 80 plus yard touchdown that Shaheed had last week. He's really the only guy that I really trust. The second one being Torrey Horton against Jacksonville. Little bit involvement. He's had four targets in two out of the last three games, but he has touchdowns in two out of the last three games. He's been that red zone option when defenses start to key in on JSN. So Torrey Horton is like that touchdown dependent upside for me.
Yeah, I have Shaheed with you. Like I think if you're stacking the Patriots, I think he's a fun bring back, but he's very volatile. So this is only in tournaments. I would not recommend this in cash games whatsoever. Um, although I'll be honest with you, man, like he's coming off that big game, but when you really closely look at the numbers, he's had at least five targets in every game this season. He's had at least eight fantasy points in every game this season. So it's not like zeros that you're getting, right? And he's sub 5K. So I think it's interesting. I think Sterling Shepard is another interesting piece if you're looking for value here. Especially if Godwin is official when Godwin is officially listed as out, I think Sterling Shepard will make a lot of sense here. And then Ayo Maynor, man, like he's someone that we've talked about a lot. I know there's volatility there, but he's still sub 4K, pretty decent role in the passing game there. So for me, I'm in on A.O. Manor. Again, this is a punt, not one that I'm overly interested in as far as I want to go out of my way and put it. The one that does appeal for me the most, though, it is Shaheed, like you mentioned. I actually think he's very interesting now that now that we say this out loud. So that's it for me here as far as the receivers. Anything else for you?
No.
All right, now listen. I've been eager inside all show, like all show. I've been thinking about when we talk about tight ends. I just want to hear it all, because as we've done this show, I've been messing around with lineups and stuff like that, and it is very difficult to fit in two high price running backs this weekend. and I think it's very it's something we should be doing. What are we doing at tight end, Chris? Because you obviously have the answers here. So enlighten us. Where are you going with tight end? Obviously, based on what you said, you're not playing McBride. I would assume you're not going to pay out for Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
Brad,
Yeah.
oh, okay, okay. Yes, let's go. All right. So look, so the guys at 5K or above are Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson, and Bowers. Obviously, with Bowers, you do have to monitor news. Knee, he remains sidelined as of Thursday. Today is Friday. Today's practice report is the most important one for all of these injuries, by the way. Chris, where are you at the position?
I think the two guys have the highest upside, one being Darren Waller at 4K. 58% of the snaps last week, probably going to be in the 70% this week. They need him, his target share. Man, we thought he was going to have a monster freaking game. They kind of went away from the pass a little bit. 5 targets, 5 receptions in the first half, and that touchdown. I was happier than a pig in shit. And then all of a sudden, they kind of went away from the passing game. Second one being Jake Ferguson. I just think the upside at 5,300 is better than any wide receiver in that 5 to 6K range. You can plug in both these guys at 9K. You have massive upside. I know you lose a flex spot, but I do think the upside with Darren Waller gives you that 15 to 20 DK point upside. You can swap either one of these guys. I think they both have massive upside.
It's look, I
And you
love
know
Jake.
me, I never play two tight ends ever.
No, I know. No, listen, I'm processing this. I'm processing this. That's what I'm doing. I'm processing this. Um, you know me, I absolutely love Jake Ferguson, number one. I was really on him like preseason. He was someone I was investing in best ball. He was someone I was investing in season long and read like he was one of my guys. If you read my article, he was one of Armando's guys there. So and I'm gonna give you some fun nuggets now too. We always gotta give the nuggets because I agree with you. Jake Ferguson, if I'm paying up for a tight end this weekend, it is gonna be Jake Ferguson here. You look at some of these numbers, Chris, and I'll point them out really quick. You have Carolina is dead last in DVOA against opposing tight ends. Carolina is giving up the most receiving yards, has given up the most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. They're giving up an 84% catch rate to the position. They've given up 3 touchdowns to the position. This is just a money spot for Ferguson, who's been incredibly involved in the passing game. Like Ivy Ferguson, you saying you're not wasting a flex spot. You're essentially playing a receiver in the flex spot with Ferguson based on his role right now. Like that is his role right now. You know, and that is and then you take that into account with the matchup at hand. And I think it makes for a very strong play. He's my favorite tight end on the slate. I don't know if I can get to him unless I do a tight end build. I don't know if I could get to him. But he is my favorite tight end on the slate this weekend. So I agree with that call right there. I look another guy that's standing out to me, man, is Hunter Henry. Like I really like Hunter Henry this week. Um, he's someone that is volatile. Yes, he's someone that has had some big moments and has had some low moments, and that's okay. But when you look at the numbers, man, I like it here for him. Um, this is just a good matchup. I think that Henry's very involved in this passing game. You look at everything else, and he just checks off so many of these boxes for me, Chris. I'm looking at New Orleans and they're 21st in the VOA against opposing tight ends, right? I'm looking at New Orleans, and this is a team that does struggle against the position. And you look at, they've given up 4 already. They've given up 4 receiving touchdowns on the year. They've given up 56.6 receiving yards per game. They're giving up over 16 fantasy points on DK. I like this spot for Henry. He's not that expensive. I think a GPP play. I don't know if I want to play him in necessarily in cash, but I think in tournaments he makes for a lot of sense, especially if you're stacking Drake May. Like I think doing May, Diggs, and Henry, bringing it back with Shaheed, and you got yourself a pretty affordable game stack there. So just keep that in mind. Any love for Tyler Warren this week, man? Like you didn't mention Tyler Warren this week. No love for him?
I'm really stuck on those two guys, to be honest with you. I still think Waller is underpriced at 4K. I think he has just as much upside as Tyler Warren. I think he has more upside than Tyler Warren, to be honest with you, just because there's so many mouths to feed. And I think the Indianapolis run game is going to be heavy and often where I don't think he's going to get as many opportunities. Now, if this is in a different world where they're playing a game where I think that it's going to be more competitive, where it's back and forth, plus you got Kyler Murray who's dealing with whatever issue that he's going on, I don't really think that this is going to be a competitive game.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you there. I don't think it's going to be a competitive game there. Um, Tucker Craft, that's the reason why I'm not on him. I think it's a great spot. Um, but I
Too
don't
expensive.
know. Yeah, 4,700. But the thing is, I'm just so stuck on Jacobs that I'm not going to play any other Packers here. If we're being honest. I'm never going to talk anyone Tyler Warren, but I look, I don't know if this is a slate for him. The one that intrigues me, if we're being honest, is someone that I haven't recommended much this season. You've recommended him a ton, and I know that their tight end situation is getting healthier. But Juwan Johnson, like for me, if you really want to go cheap, this is the week no one's going to be on him, by the way. No one's going to be on him. Um, I think Juwan is going to be chasing points, man. I really feel at 3,300, he possesses upside. This is a tournament only play for me. So just keep that in mind. But for me, I'm really at Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, and I'm with you, Darren Waller. I was out on him last week. I was wrong. Um, and he is clearly a focal point in Miami's offense. Even if he's playing below 60% of the offensive snaps, when he's on the field, the plays are designed for him anyways, right? Like we saw this with John Smith last year, where he played, I think it was 57% of the snaps there with Miami. And he still produced higher numbers. So just keep that in mind with Darren Waller. He's not going to be on the field in every play, but when he's on the field, those plays are designed for him. Anyone else here? Are you dumpster diving or are you pretty much with those two guys?
No, just to touch on Juwan Johnson a little bit. So he played 56 snaps, 90% of the snaps last week. Taysom Hill played 9 snaps, so it was 15%. And then Foster Moreau played 37% of the snaps. I don't think that 90% is sustainable. I do think that Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill will kind of eat into that a little bit. But I was actually surprised by the number of snap percentage that he did. And then for Darren Waller, as I mentioned, 32 snaps. The guy behind him, Julian Hill, who's tight end 2 for them, played 53%. 29% of the snaps. Again, I do think that his snap share goes probably to 65, 70%. So just to touch on kind of that snap share a little bit. As far as other guys, I have really nobody else that I really like. I think the price tag's gone up on guys like Jake Tungus to 3,700, just a little bit too pricey. Tommy Tremble is a guy that's interesting in a game where I expect them to throw a little bit more. I think at 2,600 is an interesting play. Other than that, I don't have much here.
Yeah, it's really like you could make a case for a couple of the sub 4K guys. But they're not all that interesting. I will throw one more name out there because I do think people are going to have to kind of go in this range and if they want to beef up some of their other positions. David Njoku, if you're going to play tight end below that 4K range and you don't want to play Jawan Johnson because of all the changes there. Plus, not to mention Jawan Johnson's dealing with I think it's an ankle injury or a hamstring injury or something like that. It's an ankle injury. Obviously not expected to keep him out, but man, David Njoku, 3,500. Dylan Gabriel's under center now. Things have changed. Last week, 9 targets. All right. That was against Minnesota. He had a good game. He plays the Steelers. Obviously, not the best of matchups. I get it, but Njoku's going to be leaned on, man. So these are two guys that I think when you look at below 4K are going to get upwards of 5 targets. And if that's what you're getting at that price range, I think you're doing good. So those would be the two guys if you're kind of going in this range. Juwan Johnson, David Njoku, if you're dumpster diving. But I think my lowest guy most likely will end up being Hunter Henry this week at 4,300. Or like you mentioned, Darren Waller at 4K makes a lot of sense too there this week. Chris, defense this week or anything else at tight end before we move on?
No, I'm nothing.
Defense this week, Chris. I'll tell you this, man. All the way at the bottom sucks. It really does suck. You look at Ravens, you look at Bengals, you look at Dolphins, you look at Panthers, you look at Titans, you're like, fuck that. I don't know if I have the stones for that, to be honest with you. But where are you at? Are you playing any of these defenses?
Didn't take me long to find a defense.
Oh boy, where are we at? Where are you at?
Miami.
So you're gonna play the Dolphins? defense
Yep.
against the Chargers.
Yep.
Oh, so you're not stacking the Chargers then, huh? No.
No, I just think if they give me seven DK, if they give me 7 points, which they've done 3 of the last 4 games, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right. I think they have a fumble recovery for a touchdown in them. Again, I don't trust the run game. If they get enough pressure on Herbert, I think they could. And if Quentin Johnston's out, I think the injuries are just piling up for the Chargers. I will be all in on the Dolphins if Quentin Johnston's out. I will be 75% on the Dolphins no matter what.
Wow. Oh man, I don't think I
Do
could.
it. Don't be scared. Do it. Do it.
I don't trust. I watch those games closely. I don't trust that defense for shit, man. Um,
And I'm telling you, remember last year we played New England Patriots at 2K against Buffalo Bills. I'm telling you, I trust it. They
so
have four. They have 4 fumble recoveries over the last 2 games.
well, yeah, no, and I'll say this: like the offensive line in Los Angeles is banged up, like badly. They were missing, I believe, 3 starters right now, if not more. Um, there's a path here. There's a path here. The first team I stopped at was Cleveland, if we're being honest, and that's doesn't make my stomach feel right. Like the one I feel most confident in is the Jaguars at 2,800. But believe it or not, those $300 matters so much to me that it's tough for me to get there. Um, so I'm right now I currently have Cleveland against Pittsburgh, and I just think Cleveland has, good defense. Like they have a solid defense. Um, and I don't think that the Steelers offense is overpowering, right? Like I don't think that, so I feel like this could be a slow game. It's a division game. Not a ton of scoring, some potential sack opportunities. Yeah. I kind of it's between Cleveland and Jaguars for me as the lower end. I get the Miami play, dude. I don't have the stomach for it. Um,
I think they're gonna score this week. I think they're gonna be because I think everyone's gonna go to Green Bay and the Steelers this week.
correct.
Is
Everyone's
Flacco starting right for Cincinnati?
have they made that
Have they
official
made that
announcement?
official announcement? I
I know
thought
they
they.
wanted to. I know that all things were pointing towards him being ready to play this week. I don't. Let me see if they made an official announcement. Oh yeah, he is starting. He is starting. He is
He's
starting.
already played. He's already played Green Bay once.
Yeah. They mentioned it right away. They mentioned it right away. I know the first report was, oh yeah, but yeah, he is going to start. I mean, everyone's going to play Green Bay, but I'm not on that.
I don't. I think that Cincinnati's going to score. I think he
Ah,
has enough weapons around him that they're going to score on that defense.
I don't.
I hope Green Bay's 30% so they get 30 points put on them.
I think Flacco could score on them for sure. I think so. Um, Let me see here. Anything else as defense concerned? All right.
Nope.
All right, Chris. You know what time it is? It is time that we give some survivor picks, then we give some bets, and then we wrap on out of here. If you want to give core plays, we can, but we normally do that on Sunday mornings. But
No,
if you have
I
any,
don't have one yet. I don't have any core plays yet.
yeah, my building blocks, I'm going to be 100% on. I'm going to have McMillan in my lineup this week. Tech McMillan, he's going to be in my lineup this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Survivor pool picks, Chris. What do you got? What do you got cooking at survivor pool picks?
My survivor pick this week is the New England Patriots.
I like it.
I already have them locked into my 8 CBS pool.
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna echo what you said. I like them, and you're not gonna agree with this one, man. But I'm taking the Chargers at Miami too. I'm good with them in the survivor pool, man. I just
Oh wow!
yeah, I'm good with them in survivor pool. I like this spot for them. I think the obvious is the Packers at home against the Bengals. I know you said that the Bengals are going to score points. I think that's the obvious when you look at Vegas. They're the biggest favorite. So, but yeah, I think if you're not playing chalk and you're not going Packers, I got Packers, I got Patriots, Chargers, and then Colts would be my third option. Here. That's where I'm at there with Survivor. What do you got cooking for bets, Chris? What do you got cooking for bets this week?
Again, I'm taking New England at -3.5. I'm taking what was the other one that I had? I think it was Jacksonville at +1 at plus money at home. Those are the two that I had.
Yeah, Jacksonville that one. That one's been moving. That one's been moving. I like Jacksonville -1, like you said. I like that. The one I said this earlier. It's gonna be Travion Henderson. I got a Travion Henderson anytime touchdown this week. I like it at plus money. It's +125 there on FanDuel. If you can find it better wherever it is you're betting, go ahead and do that. I think this is one of those weeks where you're gonna see him more involved. The matchup is checks off for him. And I like getting plus money there. I do think he'll find the end zone. So I might not be investing in him in DFS, but I already have that anytime touchdown bet in for Travion Henderson. Went 1-1 last week. Shouldn't have gone with the double dipping of the Jets, Chris. I should have just stayed put with my Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown. That would have been good just with that. But we got greedy and we decided to take the Jets as well. And that did not work out like we expected it to work out there, Chris. All right, what do you got cooking on the site this week? I know you got your quarterback coach article up, but you got more stuff coming out. Why don't you let everyone know what they can find, where they can find you, and all that good stuff?
Yep, we got the triple option college football live stream tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I have the GPP article, which I'll finish up today, and I'll have a core. You know what? I'll give you my core right now.
There we go.
Ready? Crazy core. Ready? Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jake Ferguson, and Darren Waller. I'm going double tight end.
That is a hot core four right there. I am liking that right there. You're probably gonna have to start Bryce Young. Probably. All right. But no, if you play the Bengals defense, baby. I kid. Chris,
Hey, I'm playing the Dolphins defense, man.
Yeah, I know you are. Guys, I strongly recommend honestly to check out that article. And I know I say this each and every week, but I do read it each and every week. It's a great article that Chris put together. And strongly recommend it there every Saturday. One of my go-tos. Make sure you check it out. His QB coach, that's posted early in the week. That's already up on the Fantasy Guru site there, as well as his college stuff. And then you got the college live stream too. He and the guys are there talking all things NCAA football. So make sure you're checking that out as well. You know where you can find my work. You can find that over at fantasyguru.com. You can find all of my stuff there. My podcast is there. My podcast can also be found on Apple, SoundCloud, Spotify, anywhere you could consume podcasts, you'll find the Armando Marsal podcast. So make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you're checking out my YouTube video, checking out my content there as well on TikTok, on Instagram. I post all my stuff on Threads as well, on Blue Sky as well. So make sure you're checking all of my stuff in those social media outlets. Chris and I talked all things week 6 today. We gave you some bets. We gave you our picks. We gave you some survivor pool picks. Broke down the slates. Looked at matchups that we liked. Covered it all here for you guys. So wishing you all good luck here in week 6. May you be cashing for the great Chris Rose. I am Armando Marsal. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's journey through the mind of Marsal. Until next time.